Hey everyone, meet Kevin here. I am live with the CEO of Robinhood for his first ever one-on-one interview with our community. I know a lot of us have a lot of questions, and I'm excited to get as many answers as we can to foster an open dialogue. My goal in this interview is to have a real conversation about what happened to get answers to our questions. Vlad, thank you so very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Last Thursday, Vlad, on CNN, Bloomberg, and CNBC, you discussed your decision to halt trading of some stocks like GameStop and AMC. This decision you mentioned was made to protect yourself and Robinhood users. This weekend, you spoke with Elon Musk via Clubhouse, and you talked about this mysterious NSCC clearing formula, basically requiring you to have somewhere around 10 times your usual cash on deposit. Is this, if this NSCC clearing formula is to blame here, why didn't you talk about it on your interviews with CNN, Bloomberg, and CNBC?
Well, thank you for having me. And first of all, I'm not about blaming anything or anyone. We're running our business. You probably saw the tweet storm I had earlier today that kind of put all of these events in the context of the growth of the Robinhood business. So you kind of saw in those charts that we put out that new account signups, trading volumes, everything has grown very rapidly just in the past couple of weeks. So some of these metrics grew by over 2x, potential practically overnight. So with that came growth in the clearing deposit requirements, and we had to restrict buying in these securities in order to meet the deposit requirements.
So these deposit requirements, this is like, if I were going to put this into just super overly simplified terms, there's some spreadsheet that somebody has that when certain variables go in, like maybe it's multivariable, maybe there's an X, Y, and Z in there, right? And when some of those spike, like users or options volume or stock equity volume on a certain trade, we don't necessarily know what that formula looks like. You had mentioned that, but that could lead to a result that says, oh crap, that's a lot of money we need and we were not expecting that. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, it was a little bit of what happened. So the formula isn't fully publicized, and the reasons are that, as I understand it, if the formula were publicized, it could lead to people, potentially market participants, acting to influence the results of the formula. So that's the reason behind it. Obviously, it would have been great to have a little bit more transparency into it. I think that's certainly the case. But we were able to, and as I mentioned in my interview, it was 3:30 in the morning when Robinhood Securities, which is the clearing broker dealer, was dealing with this issue, and people were making quick decisions in the moment, and people
Robinhood or the other sides, or both.
Robinhood Securities, so the operations team that we have that operates the clearing business. And part of it was also that PCOing, which stands for position closing only. PCOing stocks is something that is actually part of the procedures of Robinhood Securities. So we do it regularly for a variety of reasons. For example, if there's a corporate action of some kind, or other things, we can mark a security position closing only. And what happened was, the communications went out as if it was a standard position closing only situation, but this situation was unique because so many customers were interested in buying these stocks. I think the day before was a very, very large day in volume. And so people were upset, and I understand that. The last thing we want to do is prevent our customers from buying the stocks that they want to transact in. everything Robinhood stands for, as you know, is all about providing access to these stocks.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is this PCOing, this can happen. Now, oftentimes it happens, I think you're saying, if there's like a certain issue with a corporation or something. But how comfortable should customers feel that there's not going to be more of this PCOing, especially when we've got, a lot of excitement around something like GameStop? Isn't that concerning to people to hear that that's actually potentially normal? Or is this just industry normal? Or is it that darn spreadsheet again? What is it?
Well, the situation is this is risk management, right? We're part of the financial services industry. We have to have risk management procedures. It's obviously not something we'd like to do again. And that's the reason why we raised the $3.4 billion, right? It wasn't to meet our deposit requirements. We were meeting those with the restrictions that we enacted, but I totally understand that customers don't like when we set limits on these stocks. On Friday, we had 1 share limits, 5 share limits, and that's not a good situation for us. We have to do as much as we can to make sure customers have unrestricted ability to buy to the greatest extent possible. And, the $3.4 billion, I think, gives us quite a bit of confidence of being able to do that.
So let me ask you this. If Apple CEO Tim Cook came to you and said, hey, here's 10 bill on January 28th. It's, you wake up at 3:30 in the morning, and I want you to speak to that a little bit too. But let's say, sure, you wake up 3:30 in the morning, Tim Cook is like, hey, I got a credit facility here for you for 10 bill. Would you have had to restrict any trades?
So if we had $10 billion, the question is if we had $10 billion the morning of Thursday,
yep,
an extra $10 billion in our bank account. Yeah, yep, we would have been totally fine in that case.
Now, why then don't you have that kind of funding? Should somebody be nervous that you didn't have that liquidity?
Well, I mean, Robinhood raised $3.4 billion. It's a significant amount of money. We feel pretty good that, there's certain frequencies that events happen, right? So this was, I think, a 3 sigma event or something like that. So this gives us cushion well beyond that. Of course, there could be 5 sigma, 6 sigma, 7 sigma events in the future that would require us to execute our risk management procedures and set some limits. Hopefully those limits will be reasonable for customers. But obviously the operations team, Robinhood Securities, the team that's making these decisions, really has been doing a lot of work to become more and more sophisticated about how we do this. And we're on the journey. You kind of saw it actually between Thursday and Friday. PCOing is a blunt instrument, and then it was replaced. It was replaced by position limits on all of these stocks, and that's a much more sophisticated solution. So I'm very happy that the team has come up with that and implemented it. And ideally, we don't have to use it, but it's there as part of the standard risk management playbook.
So it goes back to really this requirement, this mystery formula that when these insane things happen that nobody really expected to happen with that kind of options volume trading, with that kind of share trading, certain things happen. It's like, oh, there's a gasket that blew, so to speak. We got to fix that gasket, plug the leak with a finger for now, stop trading, fix it, get it back together. But now, it does kind of make some people wonder. I mean, like, look, I've got $2 million invested through your app, which is 4 times the SIPC limits. Do I have to be worried?
Well, we're doing what we can to make sure our customers' assets are protected. Assets were safe and protected throughout this entire process, and Robinhood Securities takes that obligation extremely seriously. I mean, we've got some of the most talented people that work at that company, and we're getting better and better every day. Of course, we're a startup broker dealer. We're not like some of these other guys that have been around for decades and have built up, balance sheets that are gigantic. So we do have to deal with the realities of that. And all we can do is just make sure that we do the best thing that we can to have our customers have a safe and reliable experience. And it's not easy to raise $3.4 billion in 72 hours. As you can imagine, like that's a stressful process, and I think it shows how much we care for our customers.
Right. On Thursday, why was this mystery formula not mentioned? On Thursday, the narrative was, we're doing this to protect our customers and ourselves. Why not mention this formula? Not necessarily blaming someone, right? I'm not trying to say you got to point the finger, but this formula, it's an inanimate object. Why not blame that?
Right. Well, first of all, people get into blaming. The other brokers also had to restrict these stocks, right? And you saw what happened. Right. They threw their clearinghouses under the bus. There was blaming of the clearinghouses, and I'm not about that. Not to mention our clearinghouse is Robinhood Securities, so I'm not going to blame them. I don't really think it's about blame. I think I think the reason is I was running on fumes myself on Thursday. I'd been up for 24 hours under extremely stressful situations. So it took us a while to make sure that, we had to get out of the actual day-to-day of the situation, making sure that, we raise the capital, we're running the business appropriately, we prepare the comms and figure out what we can say and what we should say. And these are situations in the heat of
it almost sounds like you got into this, the variables twisted in this crazy way. You didn't have a credit facility from Tim Cook, like the example I gave. And now it's kind of like, okay, how can we establish something like this to prevent these limits from happening again? And you're comfortable that at least the money that you've recently raised will help kind of cushion that. So I think I've got that. It really sounds like you got screwed by this formula. I know you're not wanting to blame it. It's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're kind of stuck between this rock and a hard place because the formula screwed you, which is from these other companies.
Well, let me tell you the actual solution to this problem, right? Which I put out there yesterday once we got a little bit of breathing room. Really, it comes down to settlement being delayed. So when you're on Robinhood, everything feels instantaneous. You feel like you're trading in real time. But kind of after the trade is made, it takes 2 days before the cash and the stocks are delivered. So I firmly believe that should be instantaneous, right? You shouldn't have money.
The SEC is reviewing a company, Paxos, who is using the blockchain to clear securities transactions. Does the blockchain have a place in solving this crisis that you went to where maybe you don't need billions of dollars sitting around doing nothing for a rainy day, but instead you're using the blockchain and you're able to actually provide these, maybe not instantaneous, but multi-day clearings where you don't really run into these issues?
Well, first of all, I got to say the team at Paxos are doing interesting things. So shout out to those guys. I would say, however, I don't think this is a technology problem. Like there are many technology solutions to this problem. I think it's actually a communications problem. Like I think that we just have the will. We have to have the will to make this happen, and we have to get people on board. And I think one thing that was really interesting for me throughout this process is, on Thursday and Friday, I think, I went through a little bit of a change myself personally, a growth experience, where I kind of stopped thinking of Robinhood as sort of just an element and a participant in the system. And I started thinking about kind of the system itself and just seeing how, upset customers were and how passionate they are when Robinhood didn't let them do what they wanted to do, I think to me was a signal that our customers actually aren't satisfied with us saying we're subject to these rules and we have to follow the rules, otherwise we're not in compliance.
Question on this.
Customers want us to actually drive change, and that's what we're trying to do.
Why not blockchain?
Well, I'm not saying that blockchain is not a potential solution to the problem, but I also think, you have systems that can process real-time transactions using standard centralized database technology, right? You can just use a database. It doesn't have to be decentralized.
Okay. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's true. You could have banks that use stable coins as well with the blockchain. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
I mean, when I mentioned this, a lot of people were like, "Oh, blockchain is the answer," and all the crypto people came out. So it's possible that by solving this problem, we can actually create a bridge from the world of fiat and the world of crypto, and have those kind of interoperate a little bit more seamlessly. Yeah. I actually think that's a very real possibility.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for that. So the 28th, just briefly going back to the 28th here, you mentioned here that communication is important. Did you have communication with anyone specifically, not at the SEC, but at the White House on the 28th that you can disclose?
No, I didn't. No, I saw that rumor flying around that Joe Biden called me and told me to shut down trading of these stocks. So that didn't happen. I didn't have nobody from Sequoia Capital called me. I saw. I mean, the internet's a crazy place. I've gotten it full force over the past couple of days, and there have been a ton of conspiracy theories that, frankly, don't make any sense.
Okay, so what you're saying is, or maybe elaborate on this. Look, it doesn't look good that obviously you've got companies like Citadel who are market makers, who are also people who bailed out Melvin Capital, who had big short positions. You've got D1 Capital, who's got a short position, I think they had a short position in AMC. These are companies. Citadel provides revenue for Robinhood. You've got D1 Capital.
Actually not an investor in Robinhood. I don't know if D1 Capital was floating around. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There is this whole narrative of the hedge funds and the institutions and the little guy, and we're 100% for the little guy. It's part of the brand. Robinhood. A lot of these people wouldn't be able to do what they're doing if Robinhood didn't exist and didn't do what we did, right? So we're obviously for the little guy. At the same time, we're a business that needs capital, and due to restrictions, we're not able to raise as a private company capital from our customers, typically from individuals. So we rely on the broader financial system for capital, and we rely on the broader financial system that we plug into for executing our trades. We can't do everything in the financial services industry that we depend on ourselves. I mean, maybe eventually we could and we might, but right now we still have to be plugged into the broader sort of system of companies to allow customers to buy stock.
Was this a missed opportunity? I mean, could you have just shut down Microsoft trading, for example, and say, you know what, we're with Wall Street Bets, we're with GameStop? Was this a missed opportunity? And a second part to this two-part question here, did you have a discussion that maybe the reason GameStop was one of the ones that was halted was because not necessarily only volatility, but hey, people are taking margin, and what if the stock goes back down to 60, which now in retrospect it did? Did that have a part in the thought process?
No, I mean, I think I've been very clear why Robinhood Securities made the decision they did to restrict trading of these stocks. The reason why they didn't restrict other stocks is because the way the formula works, the volatility and concentration in single names actually influences it. So it's not like you can choose any stock. It's not like it's a one-to-one sort of volume determination where, oh, I have some trading here, I can just cancel that. And also, there's a process for these. It's not arbitrary. There are operational processes that exist that we have to follow, that Robinhood Securities follows, that govern what we do in these cases.
Would using the blockchain prevent a lot of your revenue?
I don't think so. I mean, we do use the blockchain to some degree with our crypto business, which actually is a business that has been growing very well, and people love that product.
Okay. Well, I mean, for clearing, like if you did blockchain,
you really are into this blockchain for clearing thing. Look, I think we're totally open to discussing blockchain for the T+2 real-time settlement initiative. I have to say, since I put that out there, so many people have reached out, right? And they want to be part of it. Like, there's memes on the internet about all of this like plumbing clearing stuff that I wouldn't have expected. So I'm really excited about financial services becoming culturally relevant in a way that it hasn't been before. And that's what we're seeing. So I think, a lot of times companies put out these things to try to get, Congress or the SEC to do stuff, and then they end up not really doing anything. But
Sure.
we're going to do this thing. Like, we're doers, we're going to build, and I want to deliver it under resourced, under budget, ahead of schedule. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think people just need to believe that, that the American financial system is making progress.
Got it. So wrapping up here, what do you think it's going to take to convince people to either stay or come back to Robinhood? And when are we going to see the reintroduction of that for free stock promotion?
I'm glad you like that. I think obviously the product speaks for itself, but I think people have been asking for a little while, since the other brokers dropped their commissions to zero and matched our pricing, why people use Robinhood, right? And you hear a lot of theories behind this. The most notable kind of current theory is people use Robinhood because of gamification, which I don't believe. And I think this week showed people why people use Robinhood. It's because it's more than just a product. It represents a movement. And we're seeing a movement in finance right now, which is all about empowering the individual investor, and not institutions, not hedge funds, not the big guys. And I think that's a big part of what Robinhood stands for and why we've been so successful, because the movement is reflected in the name. And that idea is just so powerful. So how do I get people to trust us? I recognize people were upset by the decision on Thursday, even though it was outside of our control. And I think one thing that we can do, and I'm excited to do, is just be more transparent. I think, no secret, financial services companies are typically not very transparent, and there's good reasons for it. We're highly regulated. We've got to be very careful with what we say. But I would like, and my commitment to you and your viewers is, I'd like to test kind of the boundaries of how transparent a financial services company could be. The bigger brokers would have never done the Elon Musk Clubhouse interview, right?
True.
So I think we're learning. We're a young company. We've been around a few years. And we're excited to lead. We think we can have a really, really good impact on the financial system, on our customers' lives, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and thank you for that Clubhouse interview. I listened to your Clubhouse interview, streamed it while playing Call of Duty, and then my video went trending. So thank you for that. It was incredible. But, very last thing, and this is really not a question. I gotta know the answer. Okay.
All right.
On screen here, are you sure this isn't you?
Well, you'll have to find out. I can't.
Oh.
I can't divulge that information. I'm limited. I'm limited in what I can say by my position as the CEO of Robinhood Markets.
I love it. Thank you so very much for coming on. I appreciate this transparency. I think this is a very great move to do. I look forward to this again in the future. Thank you to everyone listening and watching. I'm going to end the live stream now. Appreciate you all. Consider sharing the video, subscribing.